The crypto market has been bleeding throughout November, but the good news is that the month is finally coming to an end. Will December bring us some relief, or will the downtrend continue? Hello everyone, Richard here and welcome to a new weekly overview here on AltCryptoTalk. Today, I'll be going over 9 altcoins around key rejection levels. So let's get started, and of course, don't forget to smash that like button if you like such content. Starting with STRK. H4 chart around a very strong support, 0.125. As long as this support holds, we'll be looking for short-term longs targeting this structure at 0.17. And of course, vice versa. If you break below the 0.125, of course, with a big H4 candle, a momentum one, we'll be expecting further downside towards the 0.1 round number, which is a massive round number. In parallel, if you break above the structure, the bulls would take over medium term and will be expecting a movement towards this structure around 0.245. Next, we've got ZK, a very nice pump previously. If you check it out, from 0.029 towards the 0.0843. That's a 190% movement upward. Since then, since rejecting the 0.084, we have been in a big correction phase. From daily time frame, you can clearly see that we are retesting this previous pump, which would create a very strong demand zone. As we retest it, of course, we'll be looking for longs targeting the upper bound of this big range. Again, you can clearly see a big resistance followed by a big support, which is the lower bound of this range. That's why as long as this lower bound holds around 0.029, we'll be looking for longs targeting the upper bound. However, for the bulls to take over and start this crazy bullish movement upward, a break above the upper bound of this falling channel, as you can see in red, is needed. What we are waiting for is a new high to form around the upper trend line and then a break above it. In this case, we'll be shifting the momentum again after rejecting the resistance from bearish to bullish. Next, we've got ICP, also a very crazy pump around 255%. Daily time frame, we are currently retesting this demand zone created by this previous pump, as I showed you previously, just like ZK. We are retesting this area, which is also a very strong support. As long as this area holds, we'll be looking for longs targeting this resistance and structure. You can clearly see multiple rejections from it around 6.3. But for now, let's take it step by step. We are in a deep correction phase looking for a reversal. For the bulls to take over, just like ZK, while waiting for a new high to form around the upper trend line and then a break above it. Meanwhile, we would remain bearish, and if you approach the lower bound and also this trend line, which I consider an oversold zone, as we approach it, intersecting with the demand and support at 3 round number, we'll be looking for short-term longs targeting the upper bound of the trend line, and then, as I mentioned, as we form a new high, break to the upside, we'll be expecting a movement towards the structure at 6.3. Next, we've got Pendle. Daily time frame looks very clean. You can clearly see the shift in momentum in action. Previously, we had a bearish movement, bullish within this rising wedge, bearish within this falling channel, bullish within this rising wedge, again bearish within this falling channel. And we are now expecting what? A bullish movement within an expected wedge pattern. As long as the lower bound here holds, which will be around 2 round number, you can clearly see it better on weekly time frame. Multiple previous rejections from here leading towards the upper bound of this big range. But our first target would be around the 4.5 resistance and structure. So, long story short, as long as we hold above 2 round number, we'll be looking for longs, first targeting the upper trend line and then targeting the 4.5. For the bulls to take over and shift the momentum again from bearish to bullish from a short-term and medium-term perspective, we are waiting for a break above this previous high, which would be around 2.53. Next, we've got AAVE. big range, just like Pendle. If you zoom a little bit in, you can see that this is a massive support zone. Previously resistance turned support multiple times. That's why as long as we hold above the 130, 150, we'll be looking for longs targeting the upper bound of this big range. Imagine this is a big building, right? And you are currently within this floor. If you break this resistance or the ceiling to the upside, we'll be becoming within this next floor. Then we'll become this as a support and this as a resistance. But for now, we are still on the ground floor. We are currently approaching the floor, which is the support between 130 and 150. That's why we are looking for longs targeting the ceiling at 250. Again and again, for the bullish takeover medium term and push towards the 250 as a first target, a break above this falling wedge is needed. On H4 time frame, for the bullish takeover short term, a break above this 182 is needed. In this case, we'll be expecting a short term movement towards the upper wedge pattern. Next, we've got AERO. On daily time frame, on weekly time frame, it's better. It's retesting a very strong support zone and also the 0.5 round number. If you zoom into daily time frame, we have been overall bearish, making big low lows and lower highs. That's our first lower low, lower high, and that's our lower lows. We are trading within this big channel just like this, or even a falling broadening wedge. However, on H4 time frame, this latest bearish movement is engulfed within this falling wedge pattern. For the bullish to take over, a break above this structure, previously support turned resistance, is needed. A break above 0.75 to be exact. Once we have it, we'll be expecting a movement towards the 1 round number. Meanwhile, we are still of course bearish, making lower highs and lower lows, trading within the short-term wedge pattern, a falling one, and then if we retest this lower bound, it would be an oversold zone, which would be the lower trend line, and also the 0.5 round number. Next, we've got near. Very nice looking chart, weekly time frame around this big support zone. Daily time frame, it's trading within this big range between 1.5 and 3.65. I've mentioned this one multiple times previously on the website, AltCryptoTalk, on X, AltCryptoTalk, and here as well. It's currently interesting. Why? Because it's retesting the lower bound of this big range. So we have a support from weekly and the lower bound of this big range on daily time frame. That's why it's a high probability setup, or what I call an A setup. We are looking for this long as the 1.5 support and round number holds. H4 time frame, trading within this falling channel. For the bullish takeover and target the upper bound of this daily range, a break above the upper trend line is needed. Next, we've got ENA. Weekly chart, very strong. Of course, it has been falling, but the support is very strong. This reminds me of Pendle and AAVE, a big range, currently retesting the lower bound of its range, and also here we've got a big demand zone, a massive bullish movement from here, which reminds me of this massive bullish movement. Price retests it all the way down towards the start of this big pump and then pumped again. We might not have a pump just like these previous two, but at least we should have a reaction from here, at least towards the 0.5 round number, which is also, if you apply the same logic, but of course vice versa, we've got this supply here. A massive aggressive break to the downside. Daily time frame, overall bearish. H4 time frame, if you break above this structure, we'll be expecting a short-term bullish movement towards the upper trend line, and then if you break above this upper trend line, we'll be shifting the entire momentum from bearish to bullish, and we'll be expecting a movement towards the 0.5. Last but not least, hype, hyperliquid. Weekly time frame, retesting a very strong structure. Previous resistance broken to the upside, turned support. It would be around the 26 to the 30 zone. Daily time frame, overall bearish, and it's currently retesting the lower bound of this channel, acting as an oversold zone. That's why I'm expecting at least a bullish movement as a big correction just like this and this towards the upper bound of this channel. We also have a supply zone, a massive bearish movement from here, just like this, massive bearish movement, price retested it and pushed down again to create the next bearish impulse. And in parallel, massive bullish movement, price retested it before starting the next impulse. So I'm expecting something like this to form a new high, and then once we break this high to the upside, we'll be expecting the next big impulse to start. But for now, let's take it step by step. We are retesting the lower bound of this falling channel, lining up perfectly with a very strong structure on weekly time frame as I showed you. That's why as long as we hold above 26, we'll be looking for longs targeting the 37 and then waiting for this scenario. That's it for these 9 altcoins, interesting ones around key support levels. Let me know in the comment which altcoins are you holding, planning to hold, and if one of these are from this 9 altcoins list. And of course, let me know which altcoins you would like me to cover next week. And I'll see you soon.